Das wollen wir heute noch schaffen?
Nee, das schaffen wir nicht. Nee, das schaffen wir nicht.
I wish this fucking night were over.
Here, bullet. If a body is what you want, then here is bone and gristle and flesh. Here is the clavicle snapped wish, the aorta's opened valves, that leap thought makes at the synaptic gap. Here is the adrenaline rush you crave, that inexorable flight, that insane puncture into heat and blood. And I dare you to finish what you've started. Because here, bullet, here is where I complete the word you bring hissing through the air. Here is where I moan the barrel's cold esophagus, triggering my tongue's explosives for the rifling I have inside of me. Each twist of the round spun deeper. Because here, bullet, here is where the world ends every time.
I was like, well, if no one's going to write about it, I'll take a shot at it. I remember just sitting there thinking, okay, just start from the beginning. I was sitting in my room reading a book. When the mortar started coming down, I just sort of went from there, just started typing and typing.
I was smoking like a chimney. My nerves were completely shot. I was emotionally drained, and I noticed that my hands were still kind of shaking. The stars were now out over Mosul, and I decided to go sit by myself and stare at them for a while. I was thinking how I was lucky to be alive. I've never experienced anything like the fear I felt today.
People just don't understand it, man. Like, they just don't get it, you know? It's like you'll sit there and, you know, they just want to hear the, you know, the blood and guts part of it, or the political stuff, and they, you know, I mean, what do you say to someone who hasn't been there, and they want you to tell you, you know, hey, you know, what was it like, you know, where do I even start?
On his face. Vance started telling me a little bit about his father, who'd been in Vietnam, and who had given him sound advice about situations like this. Put all the things that bother you and keep you awake at night and clog your head up. Put all those things in a shoebox. Put the lid on it and deal with it later. I walked back to my room, thanked God, passed out on my bed. I've put the events of that day in a shoebox, put the lid on it. I haven't opened it since.
When you're in this situation, and fear does not bring out the best in us. It brings out a lot of ugliness. And you really hate the people who make you feel afraid because you're ashamed of being afraid. And you become a racist because you simply see them as a mass, a dangerous mass. To some extent, you almost have to see them that way for your own protection.
War is a passage, whether you live or whether you die. If you undergo a change that significant, it's a story you feel like you have to tell in a way. I'm not psychologically trained or even inclined, but, you know, maybe that was my therapy in a way. The way to give some of this away.
I find combat, the actual process of pulling the trigger and exploding things and killing people, to be very far removed from any agenda whatsoever. Once you've entered that interaction, it's black and white. It's kill or be killed, right? And so that has nothing to do with anything that you believe.
Life becomes intensely more bright after such a thing. And I guess in a way you feel for a moment that you've escaped the human condition. Yeah, death it invigorates in a certain curious way.